Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how to create a drop-down that allows your user to swap the chart. Without further ado, let's get started. So for simplicity's sake, let's create 3 dummy charts in a different page. For example, the first one, I'm going to create a bar chart subcategory by sales bar chart. The second one, I'm going to create a line chart. I'm going to drag all the date into the columns. Change to date value month. And then I'm going to drag sales into the rows. And I have a line chart. Now I'm going to create a pie chart. I'm going to drag category into colors. And I'm going to click on sales. And to create a pie chart, I'm going to go to show me and create a pie chart with just a single click and entire view. All right, so this is going to be my pie chart. Swap chart is actually switching charts from one page to another. So I'm going to create a dashboard that is going to keep all these 3 charts in the same dashboard. And before that, I'm going to increase the width of the dashboard so that I have more space. And let's add a text object into the dashboard to make it look like a dashboard. So I'm going to name it as swap chart tutorial. All right, and I'm going to change the font size to 24. Align middle, bold. Okay, here's the trick. When I want to put all these 3 charts into the dashboard, I don't want to just throw them into the dashboard. I want to hold them in a container. And since I'm going to hold them vertically, I'm going to put in a vertical container underneath of our dashboard title. I can drag my bar chart into the container, put the line chart underneath, and pie chart underneath all of them. I'm going to right click and hide the title for all these charts. And then now I'm going to create a parameter so that I can have a drop down over here to switch my charts. To create a parameter, you can go to any of the charts. For me, I create my parameter at the bar chart visual. And I'm going to name this as swap chart parameter. And the data type, I'm going to change into string and allow verbal values to be a list of values that I define. Now, the list of values is whatever you like to display in this dropdown, right? Because the reason we are creating a parameter is so that we are going to have a dropdown to select the values, and the values is going to filter something in the backend. These values is a list of values that is going to appear in your list. So this is what you're going to type in your parameter list here. So the first one I'm going to type is all, then bar chart, line chart, and pie chart. And then I'll click OK. Now I can right click and show parameter. This is exactly what you have chosen in the parameter list, right? But now when you switch your value here, it's going to do nothing to your chart, right? It's not going to swap your chart or anything because you haven't specified where you want to use this parameter at, right? So now we wanted these parameters to be in a filters card, right? But when we drag into the filters card, it does nothing, right? Because parameters cannot be put into the filter card directly. So we are going to create a calculated field. I'm going to name this as subchart. I'm going to drag subchart parameters into the calculated field. The reason we are doing this is because a calculated field can now be placed into the filters card. But notice that the values in your calculated field is whatever is showing on your dropdown here. Alright, that's why I only have all. But I not only want all to be my values for this chart, I also want bar chart to filter the bar. So instead of selecting the values from the list, I'm going to customize my own values. Right, the first one is going to be all, and I'm going to click on the small button here. All right, or the easier way is Control Enter. I'm going to type bar chart and add the values into the list. Now I'm going to click OK. Now let's experiment with our drop down. When it's all, nothing happened. When it's bar chart, nothing happened. But now when I choose line chart, the chart is going to be disappeared. Similarly, for pie chart, it's going to disappear. All right, so it works. Now the next thing is I'm going to go to a line chart. I'm going to repeat the whole process, right? I'm just going to drag subchart into the filters. Now custom value list. This is going to be all. Control Enter. Line chart. Control Enter. And I'll click OK. Right click on the parameters and to show parameter. Now we try again. Bar chart, line chart, pie chart. All right. Now it's the pie chart's turn. I'm going to drag subchart into the filter. Or Control Enter. Pie chart, Control Enter. All right. And right click on the parameters to show parameter. Or bar chart, line chart, and pie chart. Cool. It looks like it worked for all of the charts. Now I'm going to go back to my dashboard. And you notice something a little bit weird is that because I selected pie chart, right? And my pie chart stays down here. It's a little bit different with what I expected, because when it's the pie chart selected, I'm expecting the pie chart to occupy the whole space instead of just one of these, right? So the thing is, not sure if you remember, just now when I drag in my bar chart, line chart, and pie chart into the container, I adjusted the size a little bit so that it's going to show me the all the charts in the container, right? That is a very dangerous move right here, because the moment you start adjusting the boxes, right, it's going to automatically fix the height for you. Before I'm going to show you more, let's show the parameters here in the subchart, so that we can experiment with something more later. All right. So because just now I fixed the height, now I'm going to show you that the moment you drag the chart into the vertical container object, by default, the fixed height will not show. All right. So you click on any of the chart in the container, and then you double click to select the whole container, and you delete the container. All right. You're going to delete everything and redo the whole thing all over again. Now I'm going to drag in my vertical container. All right. And I'm going to drag my bar chart into the container, line chart, and pie chart. All right. Remember my advice is now, do not adjust the box. Okay, do not adjust the box. Now I'm going to select one of the chart and click on the small arrow. Notice that the fixed height is not checked this time. right? This is to prove that by default, the container is not fixed, right? The height is not fixed when you drag into the container. So do not adjust any of the size. Go to right click the chart title to hide all the chart title. Now we try on the parameters again. We are expecting something like this. Alright, it's going to occupy the whole space. Because the trick is when we swap the values in the drop down, it's going to change the value into the filters. Remember, we drag the subchart parameters into the filters, and if the parameters value does not match the values in the filter, it's going to hide the chart, and the one that shows up is going to occupy the whole container. Right? That's the purpose of putting them into one container. So now we are going to experiment with our drop down. We select all of them show up, and I switch to bar chart, line chart, and pie chart. Alright, all of them work. There we successfully created this subchart in our dashboard. Right, but I would like to show you something else. Let's create another pie chart called pie chart 2. And for this pie chart 2, I'm going to drag market into the colors, sales, and pie chart. There is something you need to take note on subchart with charts that do not have pills in the rows or columns, right? It's like pie chart, like tree map, or etc. All right. So now I like to put them into a dashboard, and I'm going to create a dashboard title called Swap Pies. And then I'm going to put a vertical container, drag the first pie and second pie into the container. I would repeat the same thing for my pie chart. I'm going to create a parameter called swap pie, change to string, all pie 1 and pie 2. And then I click OK. Then I create a calculated field for pie, and I'm going to drag pie chart, swap pie parameter into the calculated field, and I'm going to drag the swap pie into the filters. Right? Let's repeat what we've learned just now. Go to custom value list. I'm going to choose all, Control Enter, and pie 1, Control Enter. And I'm going to click OK. Remember to show your parameters for swap pie parameter. Now I'm going to experiment with the drop down, and it worked as usual. All right. We'll go back to our first pie chart, and I'm going to drag swap pie into the filters. This is going to be all and pie 2. Control Enter, and I click OK. Right click on swap pie, show parameters. Pie 1 is not going to show anything. Pie 2 is going to show the pie chart. Right? Now this time I'm going back to my dashboard. I'm going to show my parameters, swap pie parameters. Now when I switch to all, both of them show up, pie 1 and pie 2. Right? Notice that the pie do not extend to occupy the whole container, right? Regardless of the chart title. And notice that the height is not fixed this time. All right, the height is not fixed. So what's the problem here? The problem here is there is nothing at the rows or column shelf here, right? So we would just double click on any of those, and I'm going to hit two double quote and hit enter, right? This is going to be a blank dummy calculated field that is not going to do anything except for showing up our double quote here. So I'm going to right click this double quote, hide field labels for rows to hide it, right? And I'm going to repeat the same thing for the other pie chart. Now I'm going back to my sort my pies as expected, unlike what we've seen just now. All right, so this is all for the sort chart tutorials. I have listed down the things you need to take note when you're creating your own sort chart features in your dashboard. The first thing, remember, you need to have at least one dimension in the rows or the column shelf, right? Yeah. The second thing is do not adjust the chart in the dashboard the moment you drag into the container. All right. If you accidentally adjusted height or somebody else in your team adjusted the height before you create the sort chart feature, please go to the small arrows and uncheck the fixed height, okay, and that will fix the problem as well. All right, so that's all for today's tutorial. If you, as usual, if you like to have a written instruction for this tutorial, feel free to check out my Medium articles. There will be a link down in the description box below. And till the next one, I'll see you again. Bye bye.